Sure.
Okay, welcome back to another Between the Pages book chat. And today our guest is fantasy author Stephen Christiansen, and we're here to talk about his series Orbbelgguren.
Orbbelgguren.
Close. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to him now. Let him introduce himself and pronounce it properly. So take it away.
My name is Stephen. I'm an author of the fantasy fiction series called Orbbelgguren. It means dark elf. It means spider killers in dark elven, which could mean spiders that kill or those who kill spiders. And in this case, it means both. So you have to read the novel to figure out how it's applied and when it's going to be applied to which direction. It's about a group of dark elves who leave their evil society to become bitter, and then they find out that they've been a pawn all along, and then the world starts to fall apart behind them, all around them, and then they're up against the clock as the gods start to war and start to tear reality apart. So now they have to try to stop the Spider Queen from her ultimate goal. Of course, you have to figure out what that is, and each time you try to find something, it's a different goal or a deeper goal. And to me, it's like reading a chess game. The first book is a couple opening moves, but by the time you get to the end, pieces have fallen and the grand scheme is finally revealed. So it's really deep. There's a lot of conspiracy and schemes and different plots going around all at the same time as everything gets harder and harder and deeper along the way.
Sounds cool. So, as the spider killer, I'm assuming there are spiders. Are some of these spiders like giant spiders, kind of monster type characters?
Some of them are as tiny as gnats, and some of them are as large as houses. So there's a lot of
so the
spiders.
arachnophobia people might want to stay away from.
They might want to. There's a lot of spiders.
Personally, I don't have a problem with spiders, so. And I do like the kind of giant spiders. They're all kind of like they're fun to me as far as monsters go, and you don't see a lot of them in books, so that's cool. So tell us a little bit about the characters. What are they like?
Well, a lot of them are anti-heroes or reluctant heroes. None of them really want to be a hero. Some of them just want to be left alone, have their own life, without being involved in any of the politics or the schemes anymore. But because their life around them is crashing, they have to pull together and they have to start trusting each other, which is a conflict of where they came from. The first one is a female necromancer, and she was basically a nobody, and society turned against her, and she was thrust out into the open world, and she's just trying to get by. Our next one is somebody who hates female dark elves, so he wants to kill her immediately. So there's trust issues.
Yeah, that must make some conflict.
Lots of conflict, but it serves as character growth along the way. And then they learn how to trust their neighbors, and the neighbors learn how to trust them, and then just things start falling apart around them. And so they have to grow and they have to be better people. And I don't know what else to say without giving too much away.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the Spider Queen. She's the main villain, is she?
She's the main villain. She likes plots and schemes. She's after power. She's a goddess, and she wants to basically rule everything. Right now, she's just in charge of evil dark elves. So she doesn't like dark elves leaving her domain. She wants to expand her domain, and she'll use every trick in the book to make her way up the ladder of gods and goddesses so she could rule them all. So when she goes after something, it's usually something huge or big to try to get gods to kill each other off so she could take their place.
So it's a bit of like a Game of Thrones only with gods.
Right. But she also has a daughter who's good and is trying to stop her. And so she has to outsmart her daughter who thinks the same way she does. And so the plot is really thick of who's trying to outsmart each other. And our characters end up being pawns in both games.
Interesting. So tell us a little bit about the world. You said there's the Kingdom of the Dark Elves. Is that based on traditional mythology, or did you sort of play with it?
Well, kind of a bit of both. I do grab traditional mythology. I have grabbed stuff from the Salvatore books, R.A. Salvatore. Mostly Spider Dark Elves worship the Spider Queen, and they come from the underworld and the Underdark. The world is full of magic for those who can tap into it, or divine magic, or steampunk, or just normal fighters. There's a lot of travel. There's 2 moons for this planet, and there's a lot of cycling of what the different moons do and how the magic plays around. Then there's natural magic. And that's just on this world. And then they leave the world and they go to different planes, like the astral plane or the abyss or Mount Olympus. And each plane has their own different set of rules. So it gets complicated as the further along you go, the more rules you realize that are out there and how our characters have to adapt to each setting.
Yeah. Are you writing the rules down and keeping track of them? Because I'm assuming you are, because I've written some of these things similar with rules. So yeah.
It's kind of hard, especially when not only does magic change, but time changes. So time could be backwards in one, and going back to another realm could mean you go back in time. And so, yeah, it gets kind of crazy near the last few books.
That sounds like a lot of fun, though.
It was. It really was. Sometimes I have to stop and say, okay, go back a couple books, find out when this happened, how that happened, and then reintroduce everything all over again. Or where was this character again? How is that going on? So those who read the books would probably need all the other books handy, just in case. Where did this character come from? How did that happen?
Yeah, so this is definitely a series you should read in order, I'm assuming.
Definitely you should read the prequel, which is the Echo of Varda, Promise of the Spider Queen. And then there's a couple offshoots in the middle, which take our secondary characters and make them primary out of their own adventures, but come back. And sometimes the main story will reference those offshoots. But because there's time travel, when people say, where do I start? I could say, well, you could start at the very end, because that actually happens before the beginning.
That's different. That sounds like fun, though. Okay, so what was the hardest scene or type of scene for you to write in the book, in the series?
I think the hardest scene was one of the last scenes I wrote, and one of the last books. There was a huge battle, and a lot of people died. And I'm not going to give away who, but it was kind of heartbreaking to kill these characters off. It was just their time to go, and that's what the story demanded. And it was kind of hard to say goodbye to them.
Okay, so what was your favorite scene or type of scene that you wrote in the series?
Oh, that's kind of hard, because while our characters are growing and becoming better, they're still snippy and snottish and sarcastic, and sometimes they get some really good quips in, into other people. And some of them are really fun. And I'd go right to my wife, I just wrote this. This is really great. And she'd go, oh, another one. See you like that. Okay.
Yeah. So, are any of those quirky little characters stealing scenes from the main ones?
Not necessarily, but I can't remember them all. Gee, none of them come to mind. Oh, one of the fun scenes to write was when I killed off one character, only to have the character come back and betray everybody, and then betray everybody again. And that was fun to watch how the entire scenario just played out, how she was playing people all along.
Cool. So, do you have a favorite character? And the correct answer can be no if you want to say that.
One of my favorite characters is Quithel. She's a succubus, what I call a second generation succubus. So the first generation succubus are the first succubus to ever inhabit the abyss, and she's a daughter of one of them. So she's very old and very powerful, but still very useful. She's very chaotic, and basically she's in the game for herself only. So she'll backstab everybody, and she'll ruin everybody's plot and scheme. She was actually a character. She was a throwaway character, and then she was just a filler character, and then she was supposed to die off. But she kept continuing to grow, and she's become a fan favorite. And whenever I need her, I bring her in, and she's very cool to add chaos to the whole story.
Yeah, those are fun characters to write. All right. So, what are your characters afraid of?
They're afraid of each other. They came from a society that told them that they can't trust each other. And now they're thrown together and they look at each other and thinking, are you going to backstab me? Can I really trust you? One of the things they fear is each other. And here they are trying to make relationships and help save the world and help save themselves. And they don't even know if they can trust each other.
That sounds like a really good character dynamic.
Now, they're not afraid of the Spider Queen because they know where the Spider Queen stands. They understand her, but they're not sure if they can understand each other. Have you changed enough, or are you still a Spider Queen agent? So I think that's one of their biggest fears is each other.
Cool. So, is there any character you'd like to hang out with in real life?
I think the twins. I have a group of twins that are really fun, and they're great to hang around. You know who would be really great? I have a couple of halflings, like hobbits, and they know how to have a good time. They know how to party, they know how to eat, they know how to sleep, they know how to just laugh and giggle and enjoy life. I think those two, the two halflings, would be really fun to be around.
Okay, so well, you write fantasy, obviously. So, but are there any other genres that you'd like to try in the future, or do you have anything planned?
I have also done sci-fi and modern thriller. The sci-fi ones take place way in the future. People are trying to go to other planets and terraform them. And a group of scientists are on their way to do that, and then the ship gets hit by a huge meteorite, and most of the officers are dead, and the only ones left are the scientists, and that's where the book starts. And then everything falls apart from there. In the second book, we find out that it was all a government conspiracy, and there's a war coming, and there's time travel, and someone we thought was dead comes back again. And then we find out that these sci-fi books actually tie into the fantasy books.
Oh, so your series are like in the whole sort of tied in world. Yeah, that's cool.
And I have a thriller going on, like an X-Files type, and the FBI agent contacts uh, the corporation, which is in a sci-fi book.
Oh,
So, yeah, your FBI agent is actually in a world that has dark elves,
so that's
kind of.
cool. Yeah, so that's cool. That's great for the readers too, because they can find these little connections. They love it. So that's great. So well, I think we'll wrap up the interview on that note, and let you tell everyone where they can find you and your books.
You can catch me on Amazon. Um, you can just look at my name or Orbbelgguren series, Orbbelgguren, and it'll just pop right up. You can also catch me on Facebook. Um, I do have a Twitter account, but I usually don't go there.
I
I
don't know. I
usually,
seem to be the only author that likes Twitter. I don't know. I hear that a lot. I have a Twitter account, but I don't use it. Anyway, so I also have the book series linked in the description, as well as the Facebook page, so you can check it out there if it sounds interesting to you. And I'd like to thank you for being here. It's a pleasure chatting with you.
thank you for having me.
Okay, and that's it for this interview. And we will be back next weekend with another author interview. So join us then. Bye for now.
Bye bye.